teens are wired to care about status and respect, and disrespect can actually feel like a threat to them. So during adolescence, social standing and respect matter more than we often realize. And it's not because teens are dramatic, but because their brain and body are going through real developmental changes. Puberty and teens' developing brains makes respect feel very high stakes. They are wired for social connection and status and belonging. And so when a teen feels embarrassed or talked down to or dismissed, it's going to hit them a lot deeper than we might think. So if we want better behavior, we cannot ignore the respect piece. Welcome to Parents and Teens Rising, the podcast that bridges the gap between parents and teens and helps families thrive. I'm Jasmine Chandler, teen and parent coach, wilderness rites of passage guide, and founder of Guided Passages. After over 16 years of working with young people, I know how challenging and rewarding these years can be. Each week, we'll explore real conversations, practical tools, and fresh perspectives to help you connect with your teen, support their confidence, and navigate the ups and downs. Let's rise together. Hey everyone, welcome back into the podcast. Today we're going to be talking about something that often gets missed or forgotten, but it really is at the heart of connection and influence with our teenagers, and that thing is respect. So as parents, we often fall into the habit of thinking respect is something that our teen has to earn. But with teenagers, respect is often the fastest way to change everything. Because the moment your teen feels dismissed, talked down to, or controlled, their brain goes into defense mode. Their eye rolls are going to get bigger, the attitude is going to get louder, and the shutdown is going to get deeper. And suddenly you're in a power struggle that feels impossible to win. And it's not because you're doing something wrong, but because disrespect, even subtle disrespect, kills connection. And when connection drops, influence goes with it. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about what respect actually looks like with teenagers and why it matters more than almost any parenting strategy you can try. So today I'm going to break down a few key ideas. First, why teens are especially sensitive to respect and status during these years, and why the way we talk to them matters more than we think. Second, the concept researcher David Yeager talks about, which is holding high expectations while also giving high support. So in other words, keeping the bar high without using shame, control, or fear to get there. Third, why collaboration beats control. Teens are far more likely to buy into boundaries and requests when they have a voice and a choice in the decisions that affect them. We're also going to talk about this in schools because my own teens and the teens I work with are constantly telling me about the difference between teachers who give them respect and teachers who don't. Some teachers can ask a lot and students rise to it because they feel respected, and other teachers lose the room because they're rude, patronizing, or dismissive. And finally, we're going to get really practical about how you actually earn respect with teenagers. And it's not by demanding it, and it's not by yelling, "You have to respect me," but by modeling it, by showing respect even when you're setting a firm boundary, even when you're frustrated, and even when your teen is not giving you their best. And I'm also going to share one of the most respectful things we can do as parents, which is to stop rushing in to fix, correct, or advise, and instead send the message that I trust you to think, I trust you to figure this out, and I'm here if you want support. So if you've been feeling like you're losing connection or influence with your teen, like you can't get through, or like you're constantly managing attitude, shutdown, or resistance, this episode today is going to be for you. Before we jump in though, I want to share 2 upcoming and free opportunities for parents of teens. First, I'm running my live workshop, The Teen Confidence Breakthrough, for parents who want to help their teen or young adult move from anxiety and avoidance to confidence and action. It's happening on Zoom Tuesday, February 24th at 10 a.m. Pacific. I'll be teaching what's really going on under the surface of their behaviors and the 4-step framework I use with all my teen and young adult clients to help them build confidence, motivation, and purpose. If you want to join us, just go to youth.guided-passages.com/workshop. That's youth.guided-passages.com/workshop. Second, I'm leading a free info session for parents and teens who want to learn more about our 2 backpacking rites of passage trips in Northern California this summer. If you want details on our middle school trip for 7th to 9th graders ages 12 to 14, or our high school girls trip for ages 15 to 18, come join us on Wednesday, March 18th at 6 p.m. Pacific. You can reserve your spot at youth.guided-passages.com/wilderness. That's youth.guided-passages.com/wilderness. I hope to see you there. All right, and with that, let's go ahead and dive in. So the first point I want to talk about today is that respect is not soft. It's actually how you get buy-in. So one of the biggest ways we miss the mark with our teenagers is treating respect like something they have to earn instead of something we give because they're human. So respect is the foundation for influence. When teens feel disrespected, their nervous system goes into defense mode and we lose access to their openness, their honesty, and their cooperation. And when they feel respected, they're far more willing to stay in the conversation, even when the topic is hard. So for many of us, that might feel really counterintuitive because we grew up in households where we learned things like, do it because I said so, or my way or the highway, or when you live under my roof, you follow my rules. And all of those kind of more authoritarian methods our parents maybe used with us to get compliance. And these ways of being in relationship with our kids can actually create compliant kids. True connection with our kids actually comes from collaboration and respect rather than force and fear. And so we actually have to take some steps back and just notice the patterns, right? Am I barking out orders? Am I demanding respect from them without giving it in return? Like, how is it going, right? We really want to pay attention to the ways that we're speaking to our teenagers, to kids in general. I feel like so often kids and teenagers get spoken down to by adults, whether that's teachers or adults out in the community or coaches or parents. They often get spoken to in a way that is not going to feel good to them, right? In a way that if we were spoken to that way, we would shut down immediately. And we give them respect. That opens the door for connection. They feel valued, they feel seen, they feel heard and understood. I think sometimes this one is as simple as, seeing a teenager in the community out in town and saying hello to them and having a conversation with them. I feel like so often our young people just get overlooked. Maybe friends come over with their kids or whatever, and we just talk to the adults in the room, but we don't actually acknowledge the young people and say, oh, hey, so-and-so, how are you doing? How's your team going right now? What's happening in school? Actually valuing them and showing them that you notice they're there and that you care about them. Even those simple basic ways of respect, acknowledging their presence, asking them questions, getting curious about their life and their interests and things that matter to them. That's a really simple and easy way to show respect that often gets missed or forgotten. Another really simple way to give respect would be to really check in when we need something done. So maybe our teenager's in the middle of doing something. Maybe they're playing a video game, or maybe they're working on a project, or maybe they're doing whatever. And we come in and we want them to instantly change their course and help us with something or finish a chore or do something like that. But even just saying, hey, when you're done with that thing, could you please do this other thing? Instead of, I need you to do this right now. And not having room for compromise with what's important to them in that moment or the things that they might be prioritizing. I mean, a really, really simple way to look at this is, how do you like to be spoken to? How do you like requests to be made of you? How would you make requests of a coworker or one of your adult friends or even your partner? We can speak those same ways to our teenagers, right? The same ways that we want to be spoken to, we can speak to them. And that is going to give us so much more influence and connection than the authoritarian path of like, do it my way and do it now because I said so. The second thing I want to talk about is that teens are wired to care about status and respect, and disrespect can actually feel like a threat to them. So during adolescence, social standing and respect matter more than we often realize. And it's not because teens are dramatic, but because their brain and body are going through real developmental changes. Puberty and teens developing brains makes respect feel very high stakes. They are wired for social connection and status and belonging. And so when a teen feels embarrassed or talked down to or dismissed, it's going to hit them a lot deeper than we might think. So if we want better behavior, we cannot ignore the respect piece. David Yeager actually highlights a lot of the research around this concept in his book 10 to 25, The Science of Motivating Young People, and just talks about how the hormonal changes, including increased spikes in testosterone for both girls and boys, really make this status piece very, very huge. And that brings me into point number 3, which is another point that I think is really important from David Yeager's work that also can be found in that book as well, which is that high expectations plus high support is the respect sweet spot that we're looking for. So a lot of adults swing between two extremes. Either we lower the bar because we don't want to upset teenagers, or we demand compliance without support. But Yeager presents a really powerful middle path through his work and research. He says that respect looks like, I believe in you and I'm going to help you. So it really communicates that you're capable and you're not alone in the process. And that combination is one of the biggest predictors of teens rising to the occasion. So the idea that he talks about with this is that what we need is to have both high standards and high support for young people. In his book, he describes how effective mentors don't lower the bar, and they also don't use fear or shame. They hold a high bar and actively coach, support, and build competence so young people can actually meet it. So we can apply this to a lot of different areas with our teenagers. If we're talking about a job, right? A boss who is going to have a high bar for the quality of work that, our teen does, but also give them a lot of training, a lot of shadowing, a lot of feedback as they learn the process is going to actually allow them to excel in all those positive ways. And the same goes for a teacher. A teacher might have really high expectations around projects or the level of work that a student produces or the types of challenges that they want them to master. But if they're a really great teacher, they're also going to be giving lots of different supports and lots of different ways for them to learn the material and to come and ask questions and to turn in revisions and get all of that necessary feedback so that they can actually excel at whatever they're being asked to do. We can use this in our homes with chores. Right? We want to teach our teenagers how to accomplish, simple household chores, but to do them really well. And so that might be setting the bar high for what we want accomplished, but also really showing them how to do it and not just assuming that they know how to do all the things really well, right? We can't say, go clean the bathroom and expect, this amazing job if we've never showed them how to properly scrub a toilet or, how to, clean the entire outside bowl of the toilet or, what we're looking at when we're cleaning baseboards or mopping or whatever it might be. We actually have to really teach the skills that we want if we want them to be done well. And that goes right along with respect, right? We give someone respect when we tell them, hey, I think you're really capable of doing an amazing job at this. And I'm going to support you in the process of building those skills so that you can really excel at this. All right, point number 4 today is collaboration over control and giving our teenagers a voice and a choice in the decisions and things that matter to them. So giving respect doesn't mean that we let our teens run the house. It means we stop confusing control with leadership. Teens are far more likely to buy into boundaries and requests, whatever they might be, if they have a voice and a choice in the decisions that affect them. So collaboration really shifts the energy from power struggles to problem solving. So you can still be the adult and include their perspective. So if we're talking about boundaries, right, maybe there's something that's really important for us to set as a boundary for our teenager. But if we just bark out that order like a command, they are going to want to resist, right? They're not going to feel respected when we do it that way. But if we sit down and have a conversation with them and we ask for their input and express why this thing is important to us, so we give reasoning behind our request, we give our thoughts and ideas about what we think should happen, and then we invite them to express how they feel about it and maybe to offer up some compromises or things like that, and then we make an agreement together, that boundary is going to have a lot more success than the one that we just yelled at them or nagged them about 20 times without actually pausing to have that conversation and to hear their thoughts about it. They might feel just as passionate about not having this boundary as we do about having the boundary. And that's okay. It's okay for them to feel differently than we do. And it's okay for us to still have boundaries, even if they don't love the boundary. But what is going to help everyone along is if we give them enough respect to have the conversation and give them our reasoning and invite their voice. All right. And point number 5 today is how respect is the difference between teachers who have influence and teachers who have compliance. So teens tell this to me all the time. Some teachers can ask for a lot and students will rise to it because those teachers really treat them with dignity. And other teachers lose the room, not because the students are bad, but because the teacher is sarcastic or patronizing or on a power trip. Respect is often the difference between a student who tries and a student who checks out or acts out. I hear this all the time from my own teenagers, from friends of my teenagers, from teens that I coach, that they have so many teachers that are just so disrespectful to kids in general. It's just so obvious that they don't even like kids, right? That they have no basic respect for the students in their class, the way that they talk to them, the way that they demand things of them. And the teens absolutely hate going to those classes and they check out and they don't learn. And truthfully, this is one of my pet peeves. As someone who spent 13 years in the classroom teaching teens, I honestly don't get it. Why are you in this profession if you don't like teenagers and you can't give them basic respect? There's so many teachers out there that will shame kids, that will embarrass them if they say something wrong, that get mad when a teen asks them for help. And it's just not a supportive environment. But the teachers that give respect to teenagers, that say hello, that care about them, that have rapport with them, those are the classes the teenagers love and get so much out of. And it all comes down to respect. They feel it when they're not respected, and they will check out. If they are respected and their opinions are valued and their thoughts are listened to, results are going to be so dramatically different. All right, point number 6 is that the fastest way to receive respect is to model respect. So we don't get respect by demanding it louder. We get it by being respectful when it's the hardest to be respectful. Teens learn how to handle power and conflict and boundaries by how we handle power, conflict, and boundaries. So modeling respect looks like, our tone, our timing, the way we listen, the way we repair, and accountability. Respect is a two-way street. If I want respect from someone else, I give respect first. And if we want our teenagers to go out into the world and respect teachers and respect friends and respect girlfriends and boyfriends and, elders in the community, we do that by showing them how we respect all of those people and all of those groups, right? They are watching us. Whatever behavior we want to see in our young people, the best way to get that result is for us to do that ourselves first. If we want our teenagers to be regulated, right, and learn how to regulate their emotions, it starts with us being regulated, right? They learn how to manage emotions and manage everything in their life by watching us and the climate that we set in our homes. So modeling the respect that we want to see is such a powerful avenue to get the results we want. And that brings me to point 7 today, which is that respect includes repair and what we can do when we miss the mark. So no parent, teacher, or mentor is going to do it perfectly. I've absolutely not done it perfectly. I'm still figuring it out, right? So we all have moments when we're tired and we're triggered and we snap. And the goal is not perfection, but it is to be able to come back and repair when a mistake has been made. And repair really teaches teenagers that respect is real and not performative. It's also one of the quickest ways to rebuild trust and bring the temperature back down in a relationship. If I am willing to own it when I mess up with my teen, that gives them so much respect, right? That's me saying, "Hey, it really matters that I didn't behave the right way with you. And I'm going to acknowledge that and I'm going to try to make that right with you because I respect you." Right? And I would want them to do the same for me. And when I show them how to repair by coming back after a mistake and owning it, that teaches them something so powerful, right? Like, okay, it's all right to make a mistake. The mistake isn't the most important part. The most important part is what happens afterwards. How do we resolve this? How do we move forward in a good way? How do we acknowledge the harm that we caused and try to make it right? That is such a powerful form of giving respect to our teenagers. All right, and the final point that I want to talk about today is that one way we can really show respect to our teenagers is to not rush in to fix, correct, or advise. So one of the most respectful things we can communicate to a teenager is that I trust you to think this through. A lot of us jump in so fast, and it's not because we don't respect them, but because we're trying to help and we're trying to prevent mistakes. We're trying to ease their discomfort. We're trying to fix it, right? We're trying to do our parental thing. We're trying to help. But when we constantly correct, fix, or give advice, what they hear is that you can't handle this without me, or I know better than you do. So to give respect, we have curiosity first, and we let them know that we have confidence in their ability to figure things out. And then if they want support, we can offer it without taking over. So some simple things that we can say are, do you want me to listen, or do you want help thinking it through? Or we could say, I believe you can figure this out. If you want ideas, I'm here. Or we could ask, what do you think your next step is? Right? And really invite them to think this through on their own without just jumping in to give our own advice. So what I want you to remember about all these things we've been talking about is that giving your teen respect doesn't mean you're letting things slide, and it doesn't mean your teen is in charge. It just means you're leading in a way that protects dignity. You can hold a firm boundary and still be respectful. You can say no without shaming them. You can address attitude without escalating it. And when you do that, you're not losing power. You're building the kind of trust that actually gives your words weight over time. All right, so let's do a quick recap of the points I covered. Number 1, respect equals influence. When teens feel dismissed or talked down to, defenses go up and connection drops. Respect keeps the door open. Number 2, teens are extra sensitive to respect and status. Disrespect lands bigger in these years, so our tone and approach matter. Number 3, high expectations plus high support is the way to go. So we keep the bar high and we back it up with belief, coaching, and support. Number 4, collaboration over control. Voice and choice increase buy-in. You can hold boundaries without power struggles. Number 5, respect changes everything at school too. Teachers who treat students with dignity have real influence. Rude, patronizing teachers lose kids fast. Number 6, model the respect you want. You don't get respected by demanding it louder. You earn it through tone, timing, and firm but respectful boundaries. Number 7, repair matters. When you miss the mark, own it and come back. That's how trust gets built. And number 8, don't rush in to fix. Telling our teens that I trust you to figure it out builds confidence and independence, and you can still offer help if they want it. I hope all of this felt really helpful and supportive today, and that you're walking away with something that feels really tangible. And before we go, I want to just give you a quick reminder about the 2 free ways that you can get some more support and take your next steps with me. So the first is my live Zoom workshop, the Teen Confidence Breakthrough, which is happening on Tuesday, February 24th at 10 a.m. Pacific. So if your teen or young adult is stuck in anxiety, avoidance, shutdown, or low motivation, this training will help you understand what's driving it and exactly where to start. I'll walk you through the 4-step framework I use with my clients to help them move into confidence, action, and purpose. Grab your spot at youth.guided-passages.com/workshop. And second, if you're curious about our backpacking rites of passage trips for teens this summer in Northern California, I'm hosting a free parent and teen info session on Wednesday, March 18th at 6 p.m. Pacific. We're going to go over both trips, the middle school experience for ages 12 to 14 and the high school girls trip for ages 15 to 18, and you'll be able to ask questions and get a clear feel for whether it's a fit. All right, that is it for today. Thank you so much for being here with me. I really value you spending this time with me. I do not take it for granted. If you got anything from this episode, please do take a moment to leave a 5-star review and to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And drop me a DM. Let me know your biggest takeaway from this episode. I would absolutely love to hear from you. All right, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will talk to you next time. Bye, everyone. Did you enjoy the show? If so, would you take 30 seconds to subscribe so you don't miss an episode? Leave a quick review so more parents can find these conversations, and maybe even share this episode to your stories. And if you want to connect, please send me a DM on Instagram. I'm at jasmine.guidedpassages, and that's Jasmine with a Y. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll talk to you next week.